Hi there, you're with English Coach once again, and this video is called Young People Watch Out. This morning I've been discussing a very important concept, which is to find that which you are most proficient in, or find those skills or abilities that you have uh, inside yourself that are already semi-cultivated, or where you have a little bit of a natural tendency to be a little bit more proficient in. Uh, what am I basically getting at here? I'm saying that during the period of time from when young people are 14 to when they're about 21, they're really discovering who they are. Of course, this is the big cliche, and when you tell a young person, you're discovering who you are, it makes them want to throw up. And well, at least it made me want to throw up. If you're a young person and you're watching this video, maybe you can comment in there and tell me how it makes you feel when they say, oh, you're discovering yourself. But for me, it made me want to throw up. But basically, there is some truth behind that, because what they're trying to say is you need to be every week, every month of the year getting closer to those things that you're good at without being distracted by the most popular sports, by the most popular interests, and by what other people are doing, what other young men are doing, or young teenage guys are doing in sports or academia. Because oftentimes you may not discover your masterful abilities until you're 25, and then you'll feel like a big clown for deciding that you're not good at anything when you're 16 or 17 or even 14 for that matter. So the two things that you're going to need for this journey, I'm afraid, are patience, which is the most painful, uncomfortable quality to cultivate, because you need to be kind of mute or not complaining and seeing situations through without reacting. And that's very unteenage like. That's very hard to do. You need to observe yourself and others, not just others, but yourself, and how you perform in tasks and how you perform at certain tests and sports in a way that allows you to see the true you, in a way that allows you to see your failures and not hide your failures from yourself, not to overplay your hand, not to think that you're doing better than you are, and to be very, very tolerant and accepting of low results as you build and cultivate skills in different areas of sports and hobbies and academia at school. I'm telling you this because there's so many young people today who are depressed because they associate their worth inevitably with the lack of things that they're good at. And I say inevitably because your parents and school therapists and the whole new institution of caring and loving is going to tell you that you don't need to associate your inner value with your abilities to do something. The bad news is evolution has taken us to this point where we do associate our inner worth with things that we are good at, with things that we can get really good at, with skills that we can cultivate. The good news is there's a million different directions that you can go in. You don't need to, if you're here in Brazil where I am, you don't need to be the next Neymar. You don't need to be involved in football. Play another sport. Table tennis, beach volleyball, any kind of swimming style, chess. It could be absolutely anything. It's your freedom to decide. And it's also your responsibility to match your personal like with a little bit of that natural proficiency so that you can find what you're good at. There's no use at doing what I did or what a lot of other young people did when I was my age. And that when I was that age, sorry, when I was 18, 17, 16, and we looked at the popular sport or the popular activity and tried to compete with everybody. That's what you call a loser's recipe. That's not going to give you any validation. That's not going to make you feel any better about yourself because you're competing with too many contenders and you lose and you look like a fool or you feel like a fool even if you get close to the top. So what am I saying? Yes, throw up when you hear adults say, discover yourself. But also take the idea that you do need to find out where your strengths are. If you don't find out where your strengths are and you get stuck on competing in sports and activities where there are hundreds of other young guys who've been doing it longer than you, who've been practicing harder than you, who love it more than you, doing a lot better and making you feel absolutely hopeless. Because time doesn't stop. And the fact that you will want to be recognized for doing something, that doesn't stop. You can go to your school therapist or your school counselor and they'll tell you that everything is in your head and that you shouldn't want to be good at things because that's a false way of pleasing your own ego. But the fact is we do have an ego and it takes a few decades for us to understand what the ego is. And while that journey is happening, it is good to pick up a few skills along the way. It is good to understand that there could be things that we can get really good at, really proficient at, that have a deeper relationship within that skill, within that sport or activity or academic area. That we could get to know something of ourselves by how much we like that, or we've grown a passion in that, or we've grown proficiency in that. The choice is generally yours. But going for the most popular idea, going for the first thing that our parents say to us is a good thing to get involved in, going for the thing that our best friend says that we should be involved in, that's messy. That's a complete zero. That's F minus. What you want to be aiming at is what you're good at. It could be just collecting something. It could be planting trees. It could be working on a car engine. It could be building your own conservatory. It could be anything. But it's useless for you to try to compete with other people in sports and activities that are popular. Because there's too many of them. There's too many people competing. And you're not going to get any worth or any validation or any understanding of your identity by doing that. You're going to get it by finding those things in things that mirror who you are, that have more to do with the connection between you and the outside world. Notice there's always things that we're good at, that we're better at than other people. Don't you want to improve that before you start looking at what's in the limelight and trying to be good at something that you'll never be good at? Anyway, that's my video for today, and I hope that it's food for thought for a lot of you young people out there. And that's why it's called Young People Watch Out, because if you spend years of your life trying to compete with people who are better than you and who will always be better than you, your reaction or your derivation of pleasure or satisfaction from life will be very small, will be very meager. And life is precious. May not seem like it today, but it is precious. So go out there and really ignore the cliche and just discover yourself. Okay? Do it for yourself and do it for those secret things that each individual on this earth has within themselves. And each young person should dedicate time, money, and sacrifice to finding out in part of who they are. Okay? Thank you for being here today.